Hey friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get right into it. A lawyer's petty revenge on a sovereign citizen. I run across sovereign citizens every now and again. The kind that like to file bogus legal documents filled with Latin phrases and notarized with a red seal to make everything official. These guys think legal terms are like incantations or spells. If you just say the right thing in a document, your legal problem magically disappears. Lawyers and judges hate these guys. They are super annoying. Years ago, I broke one of my rules and took on a case for a friend. It was a family estate squabble, and my client's brother owed him money. The sovereign citizen brother got his greedy hands on his father's money outside of the estate process by getting himself made joint with his elderly father on some bank accounts. Pulling that stunt is a no-no in Canada. Definitely frowned upon by the courts. But so far as sovereign citizen man was concerned, it was finders keepers all the way, and his father's will be damned. I sent sovereign citizen man a letter demanding that he pay, and he stuck to the sovereign citizen playbook. He, quote, paid my client with a, quote, check. The check was not your normal check. Instead, it was some weird bullcrappy thing that he got off the web. The bank the check was drawn on didn't exist, and the check had all kinds of strange wording and fine print on the back. The thing about these sovereign citizen guys is that they have no notion of the consequences of the bogus documents and bad advice that they get off the web. Sovereign citizen man made a huge mistake by sending me the bogus check. "Can I cash this?" my client said when I showed him the check. "Go for it, but tell the bank in advance that you know it won't clear, so that they won't think you're pulling a scam." So my client cashes the check, and of course it bounces with extreme prejudice. After the check bounced, we sued the brother for the money he stole from the estate. It was a short, simple lawsuit, just a few pages long. We served the brother at the house he owned, free and clear thanks to the money he stole from the estate. The guy had 30 days to defend, and on day 30 I got his defense, filled with the usual sovereign citizen nonsense. The defense also had a huge mistake in it. One of the biggest I've ever seen, and I've been doing this a long time. Sovereign citizen man started harassing me and my staff. He sent emails, he sent letters, he left voicemail messages. He came by the office uninvited, demanding to see me and making threats. He kept it up until the cops said they'd arrest him if he came by again, but by then it was time for his court date. So I'm in court asking for judgment, and the sovereign citizen genius is there, talking his legal babble, saying words he doesn't understand. The judge shut him down after about 10 seconds and gave my client judgment. Sovereign citizen man has a meltdown and is escorted out of the courthouse. Of course, he appeals, but I don't care because of the mistake the guy had made right out of the gate. His mistake was serious and fatal. I don't know about other countries, but in Canada, if someone gives you a check and it fails to clear, you can sue for that. All you have to do is prove that a check written to you bounced, and that's all you need. The court will give you judgment. So when sovereign citizen man sent my client the bogus check, he handed my client an airtight cause of action, an easy win of a lawsuit. And of course, I pounced on it. When sovereign citizen man's check bounced, my client sued him for that too, in a separate legal proceeding that we started on the same day as the estate case. The two claims looked almost identical, at least on the front page. My client's name was the same, the defendant's name was the same, and the court file number was identical but for the final digit. When we served sovereign citizen man with claim 1, the estate claim, we also sued him on claim 2, the bad check claim. I think he thought that the second claim was just a copy of the first, because he only defended the estate action. On the bad check case, he didn't defend, and I had default judgment after 30 days. So a few months later, sovereign citizen man wants to negotiate. He's feeling magnanimous, he says. And even though the estate case is under appeal, an appeal he said he was sure to win, he was willing to throw his brother a bone. He'd pay, but nowhere near the amount of the judgment. It was then that I let him know that we'd sued twice, and that I had a judgment in the second action as well as the first, and that now the man's home was totally tied up with the writs I filed. "You better hope you win that appeal," I said to him, "because you're literally betting your house on it." Sovereign citizen man did his usual meltdown thing. But once he was finished with the screaming and the threats, he had a bit of a come-to-Jesus moment. We settled with him. Sort of. He paid back all the money he stole from the estate, plus all my clients' legal fees, plus some more, just for being a bit of a dick and a sovereign citizen to boot. Later that year, he was at my client's house for Christmas dinner. Go figure. Families can be pretty weird. Grandma Karen decides to unhook autistic child's harness. This happened several years ago. I was a photographer for a major theme park and have dealt with my fair share of entitled Karens and Brads. But there's only been one time I've had to call security because of a Karen. I was working with a character one afternoon, and one of the families that stopped by to pay a visit was this family of 3, with mom, dad, and a 5-year-old boy that I'll name Malcolm. Malcolm is strapped to a harness attached to mom's waist. Think those jogging harnesses for blind runners, to keep him close to mom and dad. Before the session, Dad pulled the character attendant and me aside and alerted us that Malcolm was a nonverbal autistic, and camera flashes were overstimulating to him. Now, this was a pretty common request, so I adjusted my settings so I wouldn't have to use the flash and thanked him for alerting me. It's Malcolm's turn, and he was such a sweetheart. He just wanted to show off the book full of pictures of his favorite dinosaurs, and we all got sad when he had to leave. A few hours later, I was in an area we refer to as backstage, where guests aren't allowed, heading to my break. Imagine my surprise when all of a sudden I get body slammed by Malcolm. For the record, I'm almost 6 feet and 250 pounds, and he nearly managed to knock me over. He's screaming and crying. Fortunately, my manager Oscar was nearby, so I flagged him down and we immediately called security. We get Malcolm to a cool air-conditioned place as it's 95 Fahrenheit, and I look up pictures of dinosaurs on my phone to show Malcolm. Eventually he calmed down and he essentially became my little buddy. About 10 minutes later, Malcolm is reunited with the tearful mom and dad. It's there we got the full story. Enter Karen. Mom, dad, and Malcolm were getting ice cream when Karen approached. The conversation went roughly as followed. Karen asked, "Why is he harnessed?" Mom says, "Oh, he's autistic, and he will bolt if he's not harnessed." "No, he's not." "Excuse me? You're just a bad parent. My grandson knows better than to stray from me, and he's about the same age. I'm sorry, but he's incapable of understanding that. It's safer for everyone if he is harnessed." It's at this point that Dad comes back with the ice cream, and Mom turns her attention away to help him. The next thing she knows, the harness goes slack. When she looked up, Malcolm and Karen are gone. It's so packed that day that it's easy to lose track of someone, especially if it's a running child. An important thing to note is that the park has cameras everywhere, so it was easy to get a video of the incident and get a description of the Karen. Security was alerted and Karen tracked down. She was belligerent and tried to slap the security guard who stopped her, stupidly doing it in front of an OC sheriff. She got a lovely court date for assault as a result. Malcolm and his family were given an extra day added to their tickets as an apology for what happened, but they just had one request. They asked to know where I would be the next day so I could take their pictures. The next day I gave them a full-on photo shoot, and yes, it was the best day of my entire career. Boss tells deaf girl to listen to and transcribe audio recordings. Okay, no problem. I used to work for a telecom company that is one of the major wireless providers in the USA. My position was strictly technical, working in the Network Operations Center, or NOC for short. I had no interaction with customers, and any face-to-face interaction with coworkers or management was done with the help of my interpreter, whom I've known for years at this point. My interpreter, Sarah, and I arrive around 8:45 as usual, and I get clocked in and Sarah clocks in on her laptop. I get an email from my boss to the tone of, "Come to my office please when you get the chance." Sarah and I head to his office where the following takes place. "Ah, glad you're here. Here's a flash drive with some recordings on it. I need you to listen to these and transcribe them into the CRM under X directory." Sarah and I give each other an odd look. "Sir, I'm deaf. Sarah is here because I cannot hear and need her to tell me what you say." "Yeah, so? So I can't listen to anything without subtitles." "Well, have Sarah listen and then tell you what it says and you type it. That's what we pay her for, right?" This sounds like a logical solution but goes against Sarah's contract. And I say, "Well, no, it's not her job to do my job for me. Very specifically, it states she is not to do any part of any assigned task for me. This would fall under doing an assigned task for me." "Well, it needs to be done, so figure it out." Okay, well then I'll ask my coworker to do it then, is that okay? No, I asked you to do it. Yes, sir. Sarah and I leave the office and she asks me how I plan on doing what he's asked. How are you going to pull this off? With a smirk, I say, just watch. I get back to my desk and start up Google Voice. I plug the microphone in into speaker and start playing the audio recording into the microphone, and it starts typing what it heard. The transcript was indecipherable. After about 2 minutes, my coworker walks in and asks what the hell was going on. What the hell? What is this? It's an audio recording boss asked me to transcribe. He said figure it out, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, okay. Coworker leaves. Later we found out he went to HR. I don't know all the details and Sarah couldn't tell me what was really being said, since it was against her contract and it's super serious and she's super professional. I finish and upload it to X directory and email him it was done. My boss, via email, says, "See, I knew you could figure it out. Thanks." 20 minutes later, boss comes rushing out to my desk, demanding to know what I did. "Do you think you're funny? This is complete gibberish," referring to the Google Voices transcription. And I say, I did my best using the tools provided and the restrictions placed on me in regards to completing the task. "Forget it," he said, and storms off. He was right. It was complete gibberish. There were barely any words in there, let alone anything resembling English. "Are you going to get in trouble?" Sarah asked. For a deaf person transcribing an audio recording all on my own, I think I did better than expected by any reasonable person. She smirked and patted me on the shoulder. My boss was made to take a class by HR, akin to sensitivity training, and learn who Sarah is, and what she can and can't do. Also that she wasn't paid by the company, but by a third party. This happened years ago, so dictation software was in its infancy, really, compared to today. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So have an awesome day, friends, and I'll see you next time.